To use the podcast tool in your Niihka course or project site, first navigate to the site where the tool will be used. Once you've entered the site, click on the podcast link located in the navigation menu on the left side. Once the podcast page is loaded, you can then add an audio file or video file to the podcast archive by clicking on the Add link at the top. The first box you'll see is to choose a file. This is where you will indicate where on the computer the audio or video file is located. So I'm going to click Browse and select a WAV file that I have preset on my desktop. The published date and time is the timestamp where students will be able to access this episode or podcast. I'm going to click the calendar here and say that they can access it today at 12 o'clock p.m. Then I'm going to give this a title. I'm going to say this is Week 1 podcast. And you can also add a description. Once you're finished, click the Add link, or the Add button at the bottom. And depending how large the file is, this may take some time for the page to reload. Once it's done, however, you'll be taken back to the podcast page where we were before we added this episode. You'll see that the new episode is here on the screen, although it's currently grayed out, and that means that students are not able to access this podcast at this time. Once the podcast is available to students, the text will then become black, indicating that it is available. Once it is available to students, they can access the podcast by clicking on the podcast link, and then they'll be able to download this episode to their computer and listen to it on any media player that they wish. There is also a link at the top that you'll see next to an orange square-looking icon. This link can be copied and pasted into iTunes, for example, and students can tell iTunes to automatically download any new podcasts that are available. So when you add a new episode to your podcast in Niihka, students will automatically be subscribed to it in iTunes and can download it for their iPod or iPad or any other mobile device. For students to be able to download these podcasts, they must first subscribe by copying this link and pasting it into iTunes. If students don't use iTunes for their media player, but they use another platform such as Google Reader to read RSS feeds, this link also serves as an RSS feed, and they can copy this link and paste it into an RSS reader of their choice.